Welcome back to Just Talking. Once again, we have a great guest for us today, and that is Anvesha Guru, who is a member of the Youth Council for Project Unloaded. Anvesha, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Anvesha, maybe for those who don't know, what is Project Unloaded?
Yeah, so Project Unloaded is a gun violence prevention organization, but we're working to change gun violence through gun culture. So we're trying to spread the message, especially to young people, that more guns make us less safe. And so by spreading this message, we hope to educate and empower a young generation to be educated with the facts before they make the decision to purchase a firearm.
Now, how did you get involved with the Project Unloaded?
So yeah, I used to work with an organization called the Wisconsin Anti-Violence Effort, and it was actually through them that I learned about Project Unloaded about 2 years ago when the organization was getting started. So they kind of directed me towards this because I was working in policy, but then I saw that we can talk about policy till the dogs come home, but honestly what we're going to be seeing is that when people have conversations between each other, that's really what's going to be the main driver of turning the tide on this epidemic, is making sure that people know the facts, and therefore we're decreasing the demand for firearms in the first place instead of targeting kind of the supply side. So that's how I got introduced to the organization, and I've just loved my work there ever since. So
Youth Council, what goes on in the Youth Council?
yeah, so the Youth Council is a kind of gathering of different, about 15 to 20-year-olds from all across the country, and we all have that same goal to really educate our peers on this issue so that they can be empowered with those facts. So what we do at the Youth Council is a lot of consulting with the organization. We kind of consult. The way that I first got involved was consulting on their first ad campaign, which was the Safer Not Using Guns, or the SNUG ad campaign, which aired in Milwaukee. So we consult a lot on campaigns that go on. We've had two: SNUG and also Guns Change the Story. That was our second campaign. But we also do a lot of work on our own. So this past year, we actually did a study, like a full-fledged research study with consulting professors from different universities, and it was called Guns in TV. And so what we were really examining is before and after the LA workers, like the Hollywood workers strike, and the writers strike, how that changed the implications, but also how that changed the incidence of guns in TV shows, and whether ratings had changed before and after that strike, which so what we found basically through the study is even though the instances of gun use in TV shows went down, their ratings actually went up. So it's just projects like that that really go to show that teenagers are interested in learning about this issue. They're interested in learning the facts themselves. So
I was just heard that you went to the White House recently.
yes, we
What
did.
went on? That must have been an experience. Let's hear all about that.
It was a great experience, very eye-opening for this organization, I think. But what we went for was a roundtable that was hosted by the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention, newly formed office. And so they wanted to have a roundtable with different Gen Z leaders. So there were 9 different organizations that were invited. Again, Project Unloaded was one of them. And we had 2 representatives from each of the organizations. And really what we were talking about is what all of these organizations that are youth-led have to say about solutions for gun violence. Because really it's young people who are inheriting this situation and this world that we've that's now created for us, and we're inheriting that situation. And so it's really up to us in order to change that. And the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention really recognized that young people are the face of this issue. They're the ones who are impacted by it. They are the ones who really have to inherit that situation. So let's get their views on how we can change the situation.
So, what are some of the solutions for decreasing the gun violence?
Project Unloaded, what we believe is that it's really going to come down to gun culture. So it doesn't matter what policy initiatives are taking place, those are all amazing, but also what really needs to change is the perception of guns and the narrative surrounding guns in our American society. So really what we're targeting is making sure that people know, and there's a myth that's busted. There's kind of a myth going around that having a firearm will make you more safe, but what our goal is to dismantle that myth and educate people with the facts that no, guns do not make you more safe. In more instances than none, when there is a gun in a situation, it is much more likely to turn deadly. So that's really what our mission is, and we're kind of, the way that we're doing that is by meeting teenagers where they're at, because really it's up to young people. We want to inspire that sort of generational shift so that we are starting with young people, and when they grow up, they they know those facts and they're able to educate their children and to kind of initiate a positive cycle. So we're meeting teenagers where they're at, and where that is social media, but also in their communities. So we do a lot of work on social media through Snapchat and Instagram, especially with ad campaigns, and also with our own content that we're sharing with teenagers that message. And we're kind of sharing in short and videos that they would really respond to. That's where the youth council comes in when we consult on that. It's that teenagers would respond to so that they can learn those facts in these engaging videos.
Have you met anybody that was impacted by gun violence?
Yes, for sure. Especially at the White House roundtable, so many of these amazing advocates in the gun violence prevention sphere have had such heartbreaking stories dealing with gun violence. I myself am blessed that I have never been in an instance of gun violence, but it is also living so close to Milwaukee. It is an issue that is so close to home that impacts just so many people in our community, but also just in the country. Every day in the U.S., on average, about 120 people are killed every day because of gun violence. So whether we know it or not, every single person really truly is impacted by this issue. So it shouldn't be that way, and that's why we're working to change.
How can we get the community is involved in Project Unloaded?
Yes, for sure. So the first step, I think, is definitely following us on social media, because that's one of our biggest pieces of work. So following us on Instagram at Project Unloaded, and on TikTok at USnug, and also on Project Unloaded. So that'll be a great starting point to educate yourself and be able to then educate people around you. But also just in general, just a lot of what we're trying to do is start people having these conversations in their communities. So even by seeing that ad or content or whatever on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, having those conversations with your family, with your peers, discussing gun ownership and what they think about it, even though these conversations can be really uncomfortable sometimes because people see so differently on this issue. It's not a political issue, it is a matter of life or death in so many instances. So I think we should approach it from that perspective so that we can really open it up and have those conversations to make ourselves more safe.
Well, any last minute things you'd like to say about the council or Project Unloaded?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. It's being able to get our voice out there that we're able to educate people and hopefully turn the tide on this issue. So thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. And once again, Project Unloaded is a great organization. Thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you.